Welcome to the News and Why It Matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. We are so excited to have Graham Allen back in studio. Graham Allen, Rant Nation.
Officially here.
Officially in
Texas now, so I don't have to catch a plane after this, which is nice.
I know. How does it feel? Does it feel different being in Texas? Do you feel like you're more free?
I feel like everyone's not as excited that I'm here anymore. Like at first it was like, hey, Graham, nice to see you. Now it's like, but no, it's good. It's good.
Good. Well, we're really glad to have you as a permanent fixture and not just
here
flying in and out of the night. All right, Stu, what is the top story for you?
As we walk towards socialism here in this country, we get to see what's at the end of that road in Venezuela.
And it's paved in gold?
Oh, it sure is. Wait till you hear.
All right, great. Graham.
As of 3 hours ago, Miley Cyrus launched a photo that's taking the internet by storm in her campaign with Planned Parenthood, basically making it seem like abortion is this amazing thing, and it's just like cake. So we're going to talk about that.
All right, Jason Buttrell.
So we've heard people like Elizabeth Warren talk about breaking up big tech companies. What do we do with them? And that's just crazy, Elizabeth, so I haven't really been paying much attention. But now the government is starting to get involved, and I'm getting a little worried.
All right, well, a lot to get into there. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. Graham, have you seen this? You're a shooter. Have you seen iTarget Pro?
No, I've heard of it.
Okay. Oh my gosh. We have to bring one in for you to play with.
Okay.
You will love it. It's so fun. It's literally a laser bullet. You put it in your gun, and Jason, you could probably speak to the, all of the intricacies of it better than I can. But it's like you're dry firing your gun with the laser bullet.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can fire over and over and over,
yeah.
but you're not using ammunition, and you've got the iTarget app that you put on your phone.
Is it checking if you're pulling and stuff like that when you? Okay.
Yeah, it's like so you can check your dry fire.
Yeah, okay, got it. I'm there.
Yes, it's amazing. So you use that. Practice in your living room, make it a game with your kids, see who can get, who has the best aim. And the best part of all is that it pays for itself with, you don't have to spend money on range fees and you don't have to spend money on ammunition. It pays for itself really, really quickly, as I'm sure you know, Graham. Ammunition costs, those add up real quick when you have multiple people shooting.
It does.
So you can train at home with iTarget Pro. You can go to itargetpro.com, get free shipping and 10% off right now with offer code NEWS. That is itargetpro.com. Father's Day is around the corner. That's a perfect Father's Day present. So itargetpro.com, promo code NEWS. Stu, you said socialism is great. It's going great in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. Everyone is, eating and drinking mightily. Yes, living like kings and queens.
Look, this is the time to run towards socialism. We're seeing this shining example. Ronald Reagan talked about the shining city on the hill. I mean, that's Venezuela. And we get to go see, and if we want that outcome, we can go chase that outcome, right? It's available to us. And, we had for years and years and years, we had left wingers here in the United States telling us that if we would just look at what Venezuela was doing, we could solve all of our problems. And they kept saying it through Hugo Chavez, through when they took over the energy industry, when they took over the media in the country. They kept telling us, they kept going down and visiting him. They kept praising Hugo Chavez, then into Nicolas Maduro.
This was not that long ago.
No,
it was 2011, 12.
It normally doesn't take long for socialism to destroy things.
Yes.
Either, it normally doesn't take very long.
It works well to do that. Unfortunately, that's not supposed to be the outcome you're going after, although I think a lot of times it is. But if you look at how bad are things in Venezuela now, it's a real crap heap. Is what it is. Let me give you some stats about how Venezuela, how this whole thing is turning out, and then I want to get into why do we keep walking towards it? If this is the end of the road, why are we walking towards it? Venezuela has lost 1/10 of its population in the past 2 years. Wow. Many of them have escaped over the border and trekked over mountains to escape this country.
Wow.
This socialist paradise. The oil output in the country has fallen faster in the past year than Iraq's after the American invasion in 200003.
War.
War. Like, remember,
literal war.
Yeah, they were setting the oil fields on fire. As if you remember this, they were on fire. We had to go in and put fires out at the oil fields.
And to go with your point on point one, where they're leaving the country, and again comparing that to the wars in the Middle East, they're now leaving Venezuela at a rate higher than they were leaving Syria going into Europe.
Amazing.
Higher rate.
Wow.
Hyperinflation is expected to reach 10 million% this year. I mean, that's
what was Zimbabwe?
This is worse than Zimbabwe. In fact, they talked about people in the actual individuals who are trying to live their lives, and like this one guy, He lives on making bone broth, which, I mean, that sounds delicious. I know.
I actually like bone broth, but
I don't know.
I mean, I prefer to eat something else.
I don't think you'd like this.
That's something you actually would eat.
But what bones is it made from? Is the thing.
Whatever bones they find in the street.
As long as it's keto, you know what I mean?
It is one of those things, though, like that when that is your only thing that you can eat.
Right.
So bone broth, and I think he said some other thing that they were making, but when they sell it, he has to go directly from there to buy more bones. Because of the fact that if he brings it to the bank, it will lose all its value by the time he takes it out of the bank. So they have to just take it immediately and spend it because it's going so fast. That's how bad it is. By year's end, Venezuela's gross domestic product will have shrunk by 62%, more than twice the decline of the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Wow.
I mean, this is not good.
I've got my vacation tickets booked already. At this point, I'm ready. Let's do this
It used to
thing.
be a vacation location. You think about remember the Natalie Holloway story from back in the day? That was Aruba. It's right off the coast of Venezuela. I mean, like this used to be a tropical place where you could go and visit. Not anymore.
Well, with this, the way it's going, you probably could go and buy Caracas
You could
and stay there for the summer.
For like
Nice
$100
city home.
Yeah. Real incomes in Venezuela have fallen to the levels last seen in the country in 1979. I think the last one, the hospital has no medication or no patients. They talked about the last patient that went in there with a kidney issue did not come out, died almost immediately with no treatment and no medicine. And Venezuela has the largest economic collapse now outside of war in at least 45 years. That includes the Soviet Union. It includes Zimbabwe. So it's actually now worse than Zimbabwe, which who could even think that something like that could be possible in a country where it was the breadbasket of this area. I mean, it was the hot place to live for a very long time. This is of course, now you will find all of those facts in the New York Times, which you give them some credit for actually reporting it. The word you will not find in that particular story is socialism, which is problematic. Though they have hit it occasionally, I can't say that they never do. And they do say a big part of this are disastrous policy decisions, which I would have been a little more descriptive of what those policy decisions were, because we've got 24 candidates recommending them right now here in the United States. And look, no one's going to say I want my country to be like Venezuela now, but remember, they were just saying it a few years ago when all this stuff was building. No one takes responsibility for the country after its collapse, but you have to go back and look at who was advocating for it before its collapse. This was the left. They're pushing it all, and it's an amazing moment in human history that a country that has been as successful as ours would look towards Venezuela right now, would look towards socialism right now and see something that they want. See, an entire party is embracing this policy package, and it's inexplicable to me.
What's amazing is the excuses that even outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, politicians. Pick one. Yeah. The excuses they make for socialism, like that is at the core. That's the problem. That's the problem. But they'll say, oh yeah, disastrous policy decisions. They won't even say it was socialist in nature. They'll say, oh, he didn't diversify the economy enough. Something like that.
You don't diversify the economy when you have the largest oil reserves.
Right.
Right. Sell it. Just do it competently. And they were doing it until the government took it over. And then it fell apart.
Yeah, but it goes even further than that. Like, it's not socialism; it's a dictatorship. It's not socialism. It's because of their dictatorship, or it's not. It's that, and it's compounded with
the breadcrumbs there of how that always seems to go
every single time, and that's where they don't want to go. Because it's the power to the people. It's the people's power. It's not like the government. It's not their. It's people. They're in control.
If you want to know what Maduro's pitch was, if you want to know what Hugo Chavez's pitch was, go back and watch the video that came out 2 days ago from the Bernie Sanders campaign, in which he says, "Look, we don't want that craziness. What we want is this, this, and this. We want the people to have the power." He's saying all the same things. It's all pre-collapse socialist nonsense.
And that's what's hilarious. Also, is they try to separate Chavism from Maduro. As if they're two separate. They don't agree. Maduro is his hand-picked successor.
Yes.
Like, he would not have gotten the job unless he wanted him. He agreed with everything that he was all about. There was no difference.
And to be fair, in this Times story, they did say it was both. They did actually mention Chavez. A lot of times, you're right, they'll try to draw that line. It's like, it was going great until Maduro got in there, and we hired this bus driver, and he screwed it all up. Well, that's not the truth. And the Times did acknowledge that, at least.
Graham, do you think that, I know that you are former military, you're far more traveled whether it's places that you wanted to be in or not, than the average American. Do you feel like we're at this strange place now in America where we're so privileged and so sheltered and don't understand how things work in any other place other than our own?
Completely.
That's why we're leaning towards socialism?
We are experiencing the cons of living in such a great and amazing country. Same thing, break it down on the most basic level. It's the same thing if you came from nothing, you work super hard, you get rich or well off, you want your children to never have to know what it was like to experience what you did. Well, what ends up happening is a side effect from that. Your children then become spoiled and they have no idea what it's like to not have these things. Well, you're seeing that now. You see this younger generation that has never known true oppression. They've never known segregation. They've never known any of these things. They've just known that they get whatever they want, however they want it, whenever they want it. And that's all the way it should be. But going back to Bernie Sanders, what you were saying, because I just saw his lovely picture pop up. There he is. Look at him.
Larry David.
His new hashtag, or I don't know if it's going to be his slogan campaign, is this no middle ground thing that he's doing now. Hashtag no middle ground. Does that not sound dictator-like to you?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like just a small look into the future if Bernie Sanders wins? No middle ground. Isn't that the direct opposite? E pluribus unum, out of many one, America. You know, doesn't that by very principle mean there has to be some middle ground in there somewhere? I'm telling you, they are laying their cards out in front of everybody to see. And unfortunately, there's I think it's 4 out of 10 Americans right now are embracing socialism, not accepting, embracing socialism, and so that's a sad thing.
Stu, last word on this.
And socialism turns, aspirational leaders into dictators. That's why it ends this way. You think about a Bernie Sanders, and again, Bernie's Bernie, and who knows? I'm not accusing Bernie of anything like this, but think of the progression of what happens here. Bernie Sanders, let's say he gets be president of the United States or in another country, dictator or whatever it is. Then you have a situation where you've staked your entire life's work on the success of socialism. When it fails, you can't let it fail. This is all you have. So you fight it, you grab more control, and you extend that deadline, you get that ramp a little bit longer, the runway is a little bit longer, and eventually you grab all the power you can, and what's happening to Maduro happens to you. And then, of course, then you get brutal. Then you start killing people. Then you start imprisoning people. This is how the progression happens every single time. It starts off seeming like it's going to be nice. It's the type of stuff that people go on college campuses and want. That's not the way it ends. And, we get to this point where we're so spoiled that, you wind up complaining about microaggressions. Well, this is not a microaggression. Socialism has killed 100 million people in the last century. So that's not a microaggression. That's a big aggression, a big boy aggression. And if you want to deal with that, you're going to wind up regretting it. And as everyone who's ever tried it has.
Yeah. All right. Back in a minute. We'll just pick one of those nice dictators, though.
Oh yeah, the benevolent dictators.
Yeah.
At the end, they're always super diplomatic.
All right, before we get back into the conversation, I want to thank our sponsor, Cruise Through History. So in case you haven't heard, there's an amazing cruise coming up. It is spring of 2020, and Mr. Stubergear will be there.
I will be.
You guys are going to, Venice, Croatia, Greece, Israel. We're going to eat a lot of Italian food. Yeah, which is why you're there, I heard. Really, I have nothing to do. I can't give you any details about history.
You're traveling outside the country?
I am.
What's happening?
For Italian food.
Well, it's really good Italian food, first of all. Second of all, this cruise is going to be really awesome. And I think a lot of people are going to go on there and they're going to hear Glenn and all these people with really smart opinions on history. At some point, that's going to get old, and that's when you come find me. And we'll actually have a good time. So
he's in the casino somewhere.
Yes, I'm in the casino or at the bar, and you can come find me, and then we'll have some fun. You can go back, and then David Barton can tell you something interesting. But in between, there'll be some fun in there. You don't have to. As Glenn keeps saying this, you don't have to go listen to all of us talk. You can always just go sit by the pool. Oh, good, because that's what I'll do.
What he's going to be doing. But in all seriousness, those places, are you kidding me? There's so much history in all of those places. And to have, Glenn, Bill O'Reilly, David Barton, all of these people there to, walk alongside you and, give you all of these historical tidbits that you did not know. It's going to be an amazing time. You can go to comesailaway.com for more details. I know there are different packages and stuff that you can pick from. So go there right now, comesailaway.com, pick your packages and book it, mark it on the calendar, cruise through history, spring 2020. All right, Graham, you said Miley Cyrus.
Miley. Yeah, Miley Cyrus.
Good role model, Miley Cyrus, you mean?
Fantastic.
Yes.
There she is. I want my daughter to be just like that when she grows up. Yeah, so this literally happened 3 hours ago. So this photo was posted 3 hours ago. It's all over the internet. When I looked at it about an hour ago, it had 2 million likes in 3 hours. And as you can see from the video, it is her. She appears to be nude. Seductively licking this cake that says abortion is health care. And in the caption, she goes on to say that this is a collaboration with Planned Parenthood, which means Planned Parenthood is paying her money to do this, whatever this campaign is. They haven't let it be known what the campaign is yet, but I just find this absolutely shocking, this video or this photo. What world are we in? Even if you're pro-choice, okay, let's go with that hypothetical. I'm assuming everyone here is not pro-choice, but let's just say hypothetically you were. Even if you're pro-choice, why would you celebrate abortion? You know, what is good about it? You know, even if you believed that it's something that you're supposed to be able to do and have the right to do, why are we entering into this world now to where people are this?
Whether you agree with it or don't, it's awful either way.
Right, it was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare.
It's terrible.
Evil, right?
There's nothing good about it. It's like people that glorify divorce, right? Oh, divorce party and stuff like that. No, divorce is not supposed to be a good thing. Now, are there circumstances where divorces and things like that are necessary? I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is most people should not go out and celebrate their abortion.
You were supposed to enter the marriage thinking that you would.
That's all I'm saying. Is we have entered in a society where there are no values of any kind anymore. And what I mean by that is, I believe abortion to be murder, straight up, as plain as day as I can be. I've taken a lot of fire over my support of Alabama, and we haven't had these discussions. I don't know where you guys feel on this. The president came out and he said that he is anti-abortion except for rape clause. Alabama came under such fire because they did not have that clause in there. I disagree with the president on this personally. You show me 2 sonograms and tell me which one is a rape baby and which one isn't, and then you tell me which one's actually allowed to live and which one's not. So to me, I think Alabama made the right call in that if we're talking about defining a life, then you can't say if these 2 people conceived a child consensually, that's a baby. And I'm not saying it's not a horrible thing, but then you can't turn around and say, well, because that's not really a baby. You see, and that's where I stand.
I don't think you've been in better company your entire life than next to these 2 gentlemen right here.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And of course, people attack me. You know, they automatically go after my daughter. I hope your daughter is raped at 11 years old and she has to do it. Well, first of all, at 11 years old, that would probably fall into the health crisis criteria, right? Because most 11-year-olds are not able to carry full term. You know, incest. People like to bring up incest. Well, what about incest? And the baby has issues. Well, that would fall into, does the baby have serious medical conditions at that point? You see what I'm saying? They're proving their own arguments ahead of time. And it's less than 1.4%. And when it comes to laws and regulations, you cannot be emotional when you do these things. You have to look at the way it is.
I'm in complete agreement.
And less than 1.4% of a situation is not the reason to determine we are not God. It is not and if we get into this situation where we are saying when we believe someone is actually a person, then we're no better than all of these dictators and monsters that we've fought throughout history.
I want to also, I want to bring up the point too that it's terrifying to me that they have seemed to have taken control of this messaging. They're so good at this that now the phrase is abortion is healthcare. And they just, like sheep, like useful idiots, as Glenn says, they just repeat it as
They're
if
making it trendy.
Correct.
It's a trendy thing, like refugees. When all the celebrities showed up on the red carpet with the let them in, stuff like that. It's the trendy thing now.
I invite them to keep doing this crap. Keep doing this. This is the exact same thing that now has how many states looking to just get rid of it, period?
Yep.
This is and this is more, I personally believe this is more than just single states doing this. I think this is a concerted effort to push this to the Supreme Court. Let them do it.
Yeah.
Let this go to the Supreme Court in a couple, let's say a couple years. Hopefully Trump will win next election, and then maybe we can get Amy Barrett in there.
Yeah,
then let's see what happens. It's still going to be very hard.
The way that the Supreme Court looks right now, I don't see anything changing.
We've talked about that before.
Nothing's going to change.
John Roberts is
You can't count on Roberts. You can't count on
Kavanaugh.
either. No, neither one of them. I mean,
you have Clarence Thomas. You would have, let's say, you had Barrett.
I mean, but Barrett, we don't even know about Barrett. Barrett has a very short track record. I like her generally, but she was not on the first list that Trump put out there, which is a significant thing that we should not forget. This is what happened with Kavanaugh. I mean, Kavanaugh had absolutely qualified to go, and he was treated ridiculously poorly. But I'm a little scared so far of the early results on that one. Barrett is kind of the same issue. Like, everyone kind of thinks she's a very strong social conservative and that she would be great. Maybe that's true. But again, it's a short record that we have on her, and she was not on the original list. And that makes me a little nervous. There's still 20 people who are on the original list that are still not Supreme Court justices. So, once he gets past 20, I think we could start making new lists. But I think we should go back to the original list a little bit. I just want to say on Miley Cyrus, it's a bizarre thing that we have to make these things into celebrity issues. I mean, the idea that abortion,
seek celebrities, seek them out.
Exactly. Abortion is a lot of things. One thing it is not is healthcare. It's just not healthcare. The only thing that's happening is ending a life.
Right.
That's not healthcare.
That's the worst healthcare ever.
And I will say, if I'm Miley Cyrus and I get a call from Planned Parenthood and they say, "Look, we were thinking about abortion and we thought of you," that is a weird sell.
I don't know that for a fact. They gave her millions.
Probably a lot of money.
If we could go back to the photo just one more time, the biggest thing that I think people need to realize is this photo, she didn't just randomly take that with her smartphone.
Oh, no.
This is a marketing, her, the photographer, the campaign managers, Planned Parenthood, they all sat there and decided what it needed to look like, how it needed to look, and they decided that abortion is such an amazing thing that they should depict it in this manner. And that's what people need to realize when they look at things like this. This didn't happen just yesterday. This has been weeks, probably months.
Lots of money changing hands.
Yeah, because you've got to have legal contracts and everything to even work with Miley Cyrus. And so it's scary.
You said that people are now photoshopping the cake?
Yes.
And they're putting new things on there?
Yes.
I would like when someone in the audience can maybe make one that says, can we see the picture one more time? I would like to have one that just says, "This cake now has venereal disease."
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Graham, really quickly, before we have to go to break, I have noticed just an absurd amount of men who are parroting the same, well, it's her body. Well, who are you to say what a woman does with her body? And I mean, does it trouble you, the rate that men are just so quick to just take all of the responsibility away from their plate in creating the baby?
Three things. One, those men are cowards, in my opinion. They're so afraid of backlash that I don't believe that half of those men even believe that.
It's like a white knight sort of syndrome.
So they're neutered, is what you're saying.
They're neutered and they're cowards, and they just simply don't want to speak their mind. Two, it's not their body. It's not. From the minute, it is not. That I have never said what a woman should do with her body. I'm simply saying what you shouldn't do to the body of the baby growing inside of you. All women should have a choice. Third, you choose to be able to choose who you're going to sleep with, knowing that there's a possibility of a baby. You're less than 1.4% of the time where that doesn't happen. As horrible as it is, what we really need to be talking about is harsher punishment for rapists. Government may be stepping in, or counseling services stepping in to help those individuals through that more. But if we get into the situation of deciding what circumstances have to happen in perfect form and matter for someone to be considered a person and who not, then what's the point?
We're done. Yeah. All right, back in a minute.
Disgusting.
Dude. Oh, I know. By the way, I don't find that to be seductive. Graham, we got about 20 seconds before overtime. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me by Graham Allen, Googling it anywhere, but especially you can go to iTunes and download, or anywhere you listen to iTunes, the Dear America podcast.
which is hot right now, might I add.
We've been very, very blessed and very humbled by the response.
Yeah. Go there now. Overtime starts next.